Okay. Just to warn you, this is going to be a pretty negative video, quite a raw video, so if you're not in the mood for that, then feel free to click a wow and be mad or offended or anything. Hey everybody, it's Jason, and today I'm not feeling great. I feel really like doing this video because I never make videos of me like if I'm not feeling good or feeling happy, and just the idea of filming this now is actually kind of making me panic quite a lot. It's a performance thing, I guess, because as a performer you put on your best self, and like being a musician and stuff, that's what I'm used to. I'm not used to putting myself out in this raw light. But yeah, as you know, I mean, everything's fine. It's just that I wanted to make this video whilst I was fresh in this mind, because it's important that I do, to show you guys kind of what it feels like, even though I'm only like 2 weeks away now from my op and from top surgery, which is amazing. Today my chest dysphoria is just really bad, and I wanted to make a video anyway about like things I've been feeling and how I felt like going to the beach and stuff like that. So I suppose this is it really. Like I kind of want to address the whole thing really, because people are going to think, oh yeah, 2 weeks, that's nothing, you're so close, and look how long you've waited, and it's amazing, and whatever, and yes, of course it's 2 weeks, which is indeed nothing in comparison to however long, whether you just count the last sort of nearly 3 years of intensive waiting from since I've been ready, like completely ready to have surgery, or if you're talking about another few years prior to that, when I knew I wasn't a woman, I knew that something was inherently wrong, but I couldn't quite work out what it was. And if someone had presented me with the idea of surgery, I'd have been like, no, and all that. Or if we're talking about before that, so when I was sort of university or sort of towards the end of school, where again I knew that something was wrong, but I just sort of thought, well, if I conform enough, then, especially in school, but if I conform enough and behave like the other girls and dress like them, then I'm just a late bloomer, I'll get used to it, and all that stuff. And dysphoria, it's a really unpredictable thing, and for everybody it is different, and I think that's why it took me so long to realise that I had it in the first place. You hear stories of people who've known ever since they were like 3 years old, or they've sort of, as soon as they started growing, chesticles and stuff, like as soon as they started growing when you're sort of 11, 12, it's like, I've called it kind of like the werewolf transformation, that, when you, in like a movie, if you start turning into a werewolf, you are aware that it's happening, and then it's that point before you stop becoming aware, so that you get this sort of sheer terror and stuff, inside you as you start transforming. That's what it seems to come across like when trans teenagers, they start growing them, and it is that sort of awareness of, oh my god, this is so wrong, I want to get rid of them. Or other sort of teenagers later on who's like, yeah, I want to rip them off, I want to rip my skin off, all this stuff, I want to cut them off, and all that. And I never had any of that. And even now, as an adult, and knowing I have dysphoria, I've never done things which, again, other people have said, like, they can't shower unless it's in the dark or in their clothes, which is, for example, it just sounds horrendous, and that's not something that I have ever had to do. But my dysphoria, I think, again, because it manifests differently in all of us, there are things that I suppose I do, which, it's still a major thing. So, like with showering, for example, I just don't really look at them. But when it comes to things like what I wear, it's very restrictive. There are so many times when I've wanted to get some new clothes, and whilst my hips are a contribution as well, it's like because these are here, and because I can only do so much with a binder, because they're that size, it's like, well, there are so many things I want to wear that I just can't wear. There are other things that, I'd love to do as well, which I just can't. And again, this was something that made me confused for a long time as to whether I actually did have dysphoria. Whilst I can do the sort of the most menial things, which many people can't do, like have a shower, not necessarily wear a t-shirt in bed, for example, get dressed and stuff, there is this sort of, not a love-hate relationship, that's the wrong word, I've used the term bittersweet before, where sometimes I can look in the mirror and my complete disassociation just kicks in, as it always has done. I don't see breasts, I see pecs, and fine, I can cope with that. But then, like today, that there are just things, and sometimes they can be such small things that anger you, that upset you, that make you feel like this is not fair. Why should I have to go through this when all these people don't ever need to worry about it? And then that was the thing with this morning, and that I was just watching a video, and a guy was presenting, a cis guy, and he's a thin guy, to be fair. He's very slim, but just looking at him, and it's like, yeah, he could wear this t-shirt or that jumper or whatever, and he never sort of shows off his naked chest on camera or anything. But it's happened to me a couple of times this week, like at work, where I've thought the same thing. It's like, they can just wear that, they can wear whatever they want. And it's like this concept of something that you have to live with all the time, 24/7, until it is removed. It's astonishing that they will never ever have to think about that ever in their life, and it made me angry. It made me think it's not fair, and that my heart goes out to people who are firstly not in my position with being able to afford private healthcare, so you have to go through the waiting and stuff. And as I said in a previous video, I would have had to wait another 2 years on top of now, or roughly around about 2 years, just to actually have the damn operation in the first place. And then there's people who, they just can't, like say if they're in America, they just can't afford to get it at all. Or if they're in the UK, maybe there's some kind of gatekeeping that stops them from getting it, because their psychiatrist thinks this, that and the other, or their GP won't give them hormones, and that is a thing, unfortunately, that's still very, very common. It's getting a little better in that there are a couple of surgeons who will do top surgery without testosterone, but I believe it's only private where you can do that, I think. But yeah, the main sort of path you take, you have to be on hormones for 6 months. And, thinking back to before I went on T, 2 weeks before I was on T, and I didn't know the exact date when I'd start, I was also feeling like shit. Way more shit than I'm feeling right now, that's for sure. And like just thinking about these past 8 months with tea has really helped so much. But the thing about tea, I say yet again, is that whilst yes, there are things about tea that are so good and they've done amazing things to my body, especially with things like fat redistribution with my voice, which have really come through amazingly in such a short space of time, these things do not go away. And I've tried various ways of trying to get them to go away of their own accord, which sounds ridiculous. But before I knew really about testosterone and about surgery specifically, for example, I tried working out loads, and I never sort of fully processed it in my head, but I had the idea of, if I got more muscular and worked out and got thinner, then it would make them smaller. I suppose I thought of like those crazy runner athletes who kind of do it for a living, which is ridiculous because obviously I don't do running or whatever for a living. I got this weird sense of euphoria in me after, I don't know, however many months it took for me to start like losing weight significantly and getting more muscle. And I felt great. It's like, yeah, I wanted to get more muscle for ages. But then I realised that things like this, they didn't go at all. They didn't go anywhere. And then later on I went through a scarf phase, like a desert scarf phase, where I was basically just trying to hide them, ignore them and all that. I still wore bras and stuff, but just sort of, I don't know, again, it's all subconscious. It was never a thing of, yes, I want to hide my chest by wearing a scarf. It wasn't like that. It was just like, I just did it. And then I started saying things like, I wish I could turn them on or off. I don't know what the hell people would have thought. And like, what was going through people's head when I was telling them this. But all these things, and then I knew about the surgery stuff, and I wasn't ready for it, or like I wasn't ready with that concept. I was very scared about it. And and leading all the way up to this point now, it's like, ever since I sorted out the whole admin bullshit with my surgery, I felt so much happier, so much calmer, so much more like level-headed and more stable. I'm having way fewer kind of ups and downs. It's actually been amazing. It's kind of happened really quite quickly. Whereas with sort of my anxiety lowering on tea, it's been much more gradual. So the fact that's happened is amazing. But like today, there are still times when I feel low. And it wasn't, again, because of something big, because quite often if I go somewhere, like travel or something, and I have to wear a binder for a while, that tends to be what causes it. Like, for example, I was out Friday night and Saturday up, somewhere else, celebrating my mum's birthday, and that was fine, absolutely fine. But just because of a little thing, because I watched some guy on a video today, like, that's how I felt. And I don't know, it's like, again, 2 weeks compared to how long I've waited for this is literally nothing. But again, dysphoria is just so unpredictable, and there are certain feelings that you go through to try and cope with this. And there've been sort of feelings of, for me anyway, like wanting to say goodbye to them because you've become so familiar with them, and then you're kind of afraid of the unfamiliar, as it were. But then again, I thought that would happen like for longer, but it was only about a week. But certainly today, it's just like, I want them gone. And this is not like a gradual thing like tea is. I think there are pros and cons with each. With gradual, one of the amazing pros about something happening gradually, like with tea, is that you're aware that things are happening. You can't really see them, but there's always something that you can pick up periodically of, oh yeah, that's changed, oh yeah. So there's that sort of thing. The big con, though, is that you can't see it happen. all the time. And in particular, as I've said before, around the sort of 3-month-ish mark, I felt a bit like a freak, because I felt like, certainly the way I perceived myself, it was kind of like not quite male, not quite female, and all that stuff, which is not a bad thing at all, because there are plenty of people who don't identify under binary. But for me, because I do identify as binary, and I guess, I don't know, because of the way I've been brought up in the binary and stuff, that to me felt bad and felt wrong. But then obviously I've come out the other side, and whilst I get annoyed that people still misgender me on occasions, I see myself now, like, I see myself and look male. To me, I look male, and that's really great. But with top surgery, there is just this one time when it happens. It literally happens overnight, although surgeons don't really operate at night, but you know what I mean. It happens, instantly. And for that, it's great in that you do the thing and then it's done. And obviously there is like healing and stuff you've got to do. But compared to the actual magnitude of what it's going to be like and how I'm going to feel, it's nothing. It's worth doing. The downside is that you haven't really got any kind of gradual things to look forward to, I suppose. I have heard people, though, say to enjoy your journey leading up to top surgery, which in some ways I have done, and it's been nice, exciting to get stuff ready for it and talk to people about it, and logistics and who's coming with whom and whatever, like to visit and whatever. But apart from that, it's like, no, I'm so done with these now. I've never should have had them in the first place. And again, there are so many people who will never ever have to go through this, or never have to think or be subjected to these thoughts. And ever since I came out, which was July 2016, I have been 100% ready for surgery. Again, I've had to have time to process it beforehand, which I think was very important. But in the same way, there are plenty of people now who get top surgery at like 20, 21, and I'm 28, so I'm a bit behind, I suppose. I know there's plenty of people who are much older than me who transition, but you kind of look at them and you get jealous. You're going to get jealous because it's like you kind of added 7, 8 more years to your life that I've not... I mean, it's not as simple as I've lost them, because I haven't. It's been a very slow-moving journey for me because of the lack of information I've had, the lack of, I suppose, acceptance of such things where I was from. It's not even that, actually. It's literally just... It's not a thing. And then especially for trans-masculine people, it's like, you hear about trans women all the time in the news, like the concept of what it is to be a trans woman, but being anything else, just no, not really. Obviously a lot better than it has been, but it's still incredibly, very invisible. And as I said before, even when I met a guy who was trans, we never talked about it specifically, but I could see that he'd had top surgery. The scars were there and everything, and I knew what it was, but I did not think to myself, oh yes, that's what I need, that's what's wrong. And I don't know why, but obviously I wasn't there yet. I had a lot of dysphoria that I'd suppressed for so long to unpack and unravel, and it's been a journey and a half to actually do that. But, I don't know if I'd have transitioned earlier it would have been better for me. The problem was that the waiting times are just so long that when I knew 100% that I was ready to medically transition, I then had to wait another couple of years at least. So I had to wait about 2 more years after that to get T, and here we are down the line nearly 8 months later after that to get surgery, and this is going down the private route as well. So I'm very lucky with that. But yeah, I'm sorry this video's been so rambly and stuff, but I did need to make this because it's important to get the sort of the negative side as well, especially as with my videos, I try to make them really positive, and I'm a generally positive person in general, very optimistic sort of outlook and stuff. That's just always been me. But you know, even now, 2 weeks before dysphoria can happen, it is a thing. There are even people who still get dysphoria after top surgery in that area. It doesn't always go away 100%, which I'm happy to accept. But you know, I honestly think with me, because my chest dysphoria has been so present now for so long, more so than things like my voice and my hips. Well, actually, no, maybe not my hips. My hips started becoming a problem for me when I was about 15, so when they did start widening. But my voice was something, for example, that was quite a recent thing when I realised I had dysphoria in that. So, yeah, a very long time. So I don't know, I think for me it's going to be a case of I'm going to be so grateful each and every day that I do not have these anymore. And I'll just be able to do so many things, both little and big, when I've got a flat chest. And I am going to do a video on that very shortly. So there'll be a positive video before I go away. There might be a couple more actually, I don't know. But yeah, I'll be able to just do so many things that I've hidden away from or avoided or, you know, made excuses for and things. And the problem, somebody said a very interesting thing in that when you come out as trans, you become more restricted for several reasons. One is that you can't access certain spaces in the same way anymore, which I'll talk about more with this other video. But also, because you've come out and you are actively looking to transition, or you're going through a transition, whether you like it or not, you cannot stop thinking about what causes you dysphoria, whereas at least before you've worked yourself out properly, or if you're still presenting as the gender you were assigned at birth, it's maybe, I don't know, maybe it depends from different people, but certainly for me, before I came out, I was not always thinking about it, and I was still sort of suppressing things a lot, hence the scarf thing, hence other stuff. But not anymore, you just can't. So it's been very hard, very hard. But I'm still here, I'm still fighting, and I have no intention of going anywhere because I'm so close to surgery now. And 2 weeks I'm sure will fly by. These past few weeks have actually gone so quickly, it's amazing. I think the biggest challenge for me recently has been just January and getting through that, but now that January's gone, it's like February is just going so quickly, it's amazing. So yeah, I'll be absolutely fine, but just today, I just wanted to make you all aware that, you know, dysphoria as a thing, it's just something that can happen anytime, because of anything, and it can make you feel a bit crap. Even when good things are happening to you, and even when things are going your way, and you know, all that stuff. And yeah, so I'll pop this video out, and again, I should be getting another video out probably the next week or so, so maybe I have to pre-up or something like that, but we'll see. And as always, I hope you enjoyed. I don't know if enjoyed is the right word, but I hope this helped maybe, because I know a lot of you who watch my videos are going through the same sort of thing as me, and that you see my videos are helping, which is amazing. I'm pleased I can help at least a few of you, you know. So I guess just know that you're not alone. If you're waiting for surgery or waiting for T or even waiting to surgery transition, I was there too, in the same place as you. And I know that lots of people say this, and it doesn't always help, but your time will come. And yes, it's waiting and uncertainty and in limbo and all this stuff, this sense of not being in place anywhere. You're kind of torn between, I don't know, two places or something. It will happen. And, you know, I'm looking back now at when I first came out, and I was buying clothes, you know, to wear, like tank tops, and then I realised, oh, they don't work because I've got a binder on, but I'll save them. I'll save them for after surgery. Well, that time's almost there, and then I will be able to wear them. Probably won't fit though because they've gotten a bit bigger, but I'll be able to actually wear them again, or wear them at all. And, you know, so many wonderful things. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, vent about dysphoria with me, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye bye.